well suited to conduct clearing and interdiction operations in the space
Happy
between
New
regular
Year,
formations.
knuckleheads.
On the one hand, they are typically capable of coordinating airstrikes and other precision fires, enabling them to rapidly coordinate the neutralization of Russian positions when required. On the other hand, they are trained in hunter-killer operations, operations behind enemy lines, and combat in friendly and enemy rear areas. Another factor is that they can operate largely independently and, due to their own
20
expertise in
degrees and
infiltration
cloudy
operations,
out.
possess a solid understanding of their enemy. I think you know by now that I like generic Sun Tzu quotes, and there is a fitting quote here that goes, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you do not need to fear the result of 100 battles." Do you know how it continues? Write it in the comments.
Wow.
At the strategic level, Russia continues to employ large numbers of
Look at
Shahed
them
drones,
drones.
ballistic missiles, and cruise missiles, which are now also being used in coordinated swarm-like attacks. Here, Ukraine employs surface-to-air missiles and, in particular, Western-supplied fighter jets such as the French Mirage 2000 to hunt down and intercept these missiles and drones. According to Ukrainian pilots, the Mirage has achieved remarkably impressive interception rates against Russian weapons. In fact, so high that one pilot even claimed a 98% shoot-down rate during Russian attacks. According to the Ukrainians, this performance is largely attributed to the infrared-guided Magic 2 air-to-air missile. But the F-16 also plays a major role in this effort, and piece by piece, more and more videos are being released showing it in air combat against drones and Russian cruise missiles. This is particularly interesting because for a long time almost everything involving the F-16 was kept under OPSEC for security reasons, and we saw virtually nothing of it on the battlefield. Now, as you can see, we even have cockpit and HUD footage from several interception missions. According to Ukrainian sources, the F-16 has proven itself effective for precision ground strikes such as with JDAMs and for countering drones. However, they also face significant challenges from Russian electronic warfare and air defense systems, which have reportedly led to the loss of at least 3 F-16 jets during drone interception missions. During these missions, they often get extremely close to the drones and shoot them down using air-to-air missiles or even their onboard cannon. I would argue that this is definitely cheaper than relying on missiles all the time. Ukraine also employs simpler propeller-driven aircraft to hunt Russian drones. While they generally shoot them down, there have also been instances of pilots ramming drones to force them to crash. Unfortunately, the pilot you saw earlier lost his life in combat. Russia also uses propeller aircraft for drone interception in the rear areas, and here Ukrainian forces destroy one of these planes with a precise drone strike on an airfield.
Drone war. It's here.
For propaganda, economic, and combat value reasons, aircraft are always considered high-value targets, and as a rule, the closer they operate to the front line, the more dangerous it becomes for them. This is primarily due to long and medium-range surface-to-air missile systems, but also because of man-portable air defense systems, especially when aircraft fly at low altitude to evade larger SAM systems or to conduct close air support for friendly ground troops. The use of manpads has already led to countless spectacular images, showing in particular Russian jets being shot down during combat missions and crashing to the ground. Of course, manpads do not have a 100% hit rate, and shots often miss, as can be seen in this archival clip of an attempt to shoot down a Russian combat helicopter. Nevertheless, operating within their range and engagement envelope often means exposing oneself to a very real and significant risk of being shot down. To address this problem, the development of autonomous unmanned aerial combat vehicles is already being pushed forward by a number of states. One such UCAV is the Janaya, which in Arabic roughly translates to ghost. It was developed by Edge, but beyond a few basic specifications such as its stealth characteristics and its ability to engage both ground and air targets, most information about it is currently being kept classified.
I like this guy.
During the Dubai Air Show, however, some of the
today.
systems it can be equipped with were presented, one of which is the Darkwing, which resembles a small, stocky cruise missile. Here, however, also not much about it was
Darkwing.
disclosed, and while it looks like a cruise missile, it was showcased under the term modular, air or ground-launched autonomous strike system. According to available information, it is
Saber.
engineered with interchangeable seekers and payloads to adapt to
Space
different mission
42.
requirements. The system allows its seekers to be swapped, presumably enabling engagement of various
Anti-jamming.
target types. Besides its autonomy features, it also uses visual navigation, has a range of 200 kilometers, and can carry modular payloads of 25, 50, or 100 kilogram. One of the main reasons why the area around Pokrovsk currently ranks among the most dangerous sections of the entire front is the massive use of Russian glide bombs. While they are also used extensively in other parts of the front, the Russian focus of effort in this sector
Damn.
makes their employment here even more intense.
We're just blowing shit
With them,
up.
it is possible to destroy fortified Ukrainian positions,
Don't make no
trenches,
sense
and
to
buildings
me.
relatively quickly, precisely, and cost-effectively, thereby
Yeah,
paving
I mean,
the way
it
for
is-
Russian ground forces. The strong focus of Russian forces on conducting
Apartment
combat primarily in this
buildings,
manner is
stores,
interesting in a certain way, especially when one considers that
schools,
during the US
hospitals,
deployment in
blah.
Afghanistan, it was routine for Russian troll accounts to defame American combat footage in YouTube comment sections. They frequently accused US forces of being incapable of winning engagements against the Taliban
Like
without
they're
air
gonna
support
blow a
and precision
bridge up
JDAM
there.
strikes. Today, however, we are witnessing a very similar reliance on standoff, air-delivered munitions by Russia. I would even go so far as to argue that these weapons have become one of Russia's primary enablers on the battlefield, second only to the current American administration, corruption within Ukraine, and an overall lack of coherent leadership
that?
among divided European governments. Already during the failed Ukrainian summer offensive and the heavy urban fighting in Bakhmut, I repeatedly pointed out in my videos the need for enablers capable of quickly and precisely destroying positions such as trenches or reinforced concrete buildings, so troops would not have to laboriously clearing them one by one. It almost seems as if the Russians were listening back then and took notes. As you can see, with this approach, it is possible to eliminate entire wings of a building, or even whole structures altogether.
I
The
guess.
fact that these fabs are essentially inexpensive, unguided bombs converted into precision munitions, makes them extremely easy to produce and highly scalable. While Ukraine does
Yeah,
possess
give
similar
me
weapon
bells.
systems, they do not come anywhere near Russian production volumes or
Yeah. Well, looks like that war in Ukraine is going to continue. Them drones are fascinating. It's like to be killed by a friggin' drone. Look at that. Boom. Comes another one. Boom. The other side of the river or something. There's that bridge. There goes a drone. Boom. Oh, it didn't hit the bridge. Well, I don't know. I got Iran. Big revolution in Iran. I remember them days, the hostages, 444 days hostage. Jeez. We had a field station there too. I remember that. Top secret crypto. The embassy. Working at good old NSA. Alright. What else is going on? Cigarettes went up. I think there's gonna ban some junk food on your EBTs. I look at that as a good thing. They're making the weirdest looking drones. Look at that. Look at that thing. The Omen. Exploiting the fog of war on the Eastern Front. Oh.
On motorcycles, if you ask me, the overall composition of the scene gives it a bit of Mad Max vibes. This footage illustrates quite well that only the presence of fog allows larger, motorized formations to maneuver through the terrain and especially along supply and connecting roads with any degree of relative safety. The fog conceals vehicle movement that would otherwise be easily detected by drones and, particularly on roads that channel movement, quickly targeted and destroyed. The Russian fog tactics forced the Ukrainians to revert to more traditional forms of ground-based reconnaissance and small unit tactics to counter these infiltrators. However, as can be clearly seen in this helmet camera footage, this approach comes with its own challenges because visibility on the ground is extremely limited, which significantly complicates finding, fixing, and finishing enemy forces. As a result, engagements often emerge in a highly unpredictable manner and are fought at very short distances due to the restricted field of view. Here, the rule of thumb is that the more of the enemy you can bring into your field of fire at once, the better. Also, the side that gets its sights on the enemy first generally has the upper hand, while any type of movement under fire like this break contact, for example, requires tighter cohesion to prevent reflex-driven friendly fire. John Wick, probably. In this firefight, the Ukrainians emerged victorious and, despite initial difficulties, managed to kill several Russian soldiers with small arms fire. Even without the fog, the fighting around Pokrovsk and other parts of the front on the tactical level has been characterized by small skirmishes, ambushes, deception, and extreme close-quarters combat, as I will now illustrate using several examples. The first example is this one, where a single Ukrainian soldier tricked two Russian soldiers into believing he was one of them. Completely unaware, they closed in on him, fully convinced they had encountered a friendly soldier. Apparently, the Ukrainian exploited the fact that many poorly equipped Russian troops lack radios and have no precise awareness of the presence or strength of other friendly forces in the area. So he removed all chevrons and insignia to trick them into believing this was a random encounter with a friendly, then he opened fire on them from point-blank range. There is a 9-minute interview with the soldier explaining this event in detail, but since we still have a lot of footage to go through, I included it in the Telegram version with all scenes unblurred.
War's war.
Here, a Ukrainian soldier also lured two Russians into his field of fire in front of a house by pretending to be friendly, and then shot both of them. As you can see, there has been a lot of footage of these extreme close-range engagements over recent weeks and months, which is very much a result of Russia's infiltration tactics and the overall porous nature of the front.
You know I love
One
you.
of the most seemingly random of these close-quarters encounters is this drone video showing